Morning, ready enjoyment. Today we're gonna review chapter 1.2 of data structure and algorithms. So we're gonna use the data structure and algorithms textbook in Python. Of I believe the author is Goodrich and Tasmia. Uh, Here is Goodrich, Tamassia and Goldwasser. So I'm gonna leave the link to the book in the description. So please check it out. So in the last video we have checked the exercises about Python primers, and we know how the basic Python program runs. The calculation of the average point using a dictionary, right? So today some data type that is usually used in Python, because without understanding of data type we cannot handle the exercises and problems in the real works. So let's get right in. So chapter 1 part 2 means object in Python. 1.21 identifiers, objects, assignment statement. Okay, so the standard lecture, the textbook is quite long. I want to condense it into some good exercises here. So object in Python. Now we have a variable here called temperature. So you can type out temperature equal to 98.6. So I'm gonna call out on the online Python so we can do things a little bit more effective. So we can come to replit.com and choose Python 3 and create a new replit. It's all the same. Whatever Python compiler you're using, actually it's compilable. It's good. Okay, so let's begin. So chapter 1.2 objects in Python, I just gonna copy it. And we have a variable of temperature equal to 98.6. So now let's check. The first thing I want to check, what is the data type of this temperature variable. And you can see they return us the class float because it's a floating point number 98.6, and then I can use the print function to print out the actual value of the variable as well. So 98.6 as we have set it. Okay, all right. Now what we can do is that we can set original to be temperature. We can create a new variables we call it original. So we can set original to be temperature. But now we know that the value of temperature is 98.6. So as you can easily guess, as original equal to temperature, we assign original to have the value of temperature. We assign the variable original to have the value of temperature. So I think you could easily see that when you print out the variables original, you want to also get the exact same result of temperature, which is 98.6. Alright, that's very good. So then the command establish temperature of such as an identifier or just a name, okay? And they associate with an object expressed in the right hand side. So the object here is 98.6. So this just means you assign the variable temperature with the value of 98.6. Okay, and there was some reserved word in Python that that you cannot be used to name variables or identifiers. identifier. So these are reserved word, so you cannot use to be to name identifier or variables. Okay. So words like false, true, none, and as, assert, break, class, continue, def, define, delve, delete, elif, or else if, else, except, final, for, and etc. in the table you are seeing. Okay. Now, next, we want to next exercise. We want to have a modification of the this variable. Now, as you can see here, we have two variables here, which is the original and the temperature. The original here we have the temperature here we have the value of 98.6, and also the original here has the value of 98.6, and original is actually another container. The variable original is actually another container for the value 98.6, as we have discussed before. But now I want to test out whether when we change one of these two variables, which is the variable original here, if we increase original by 1, will it affect the variable temperature? So first of all, let's comment now to have a comment and a line of dash to separate to block of code. And now we're gonna use original plus equal to 1.0. This you can replace it with original equal to original equal to original plus 1 plus 1.0, which means you just add 1 to the previous value of original. And now we want to print out the two values for original and temperature to see what is the value. Okay, what is the value? So let's run. Okay, so let's make the prompt here. Original and temperature. Like that. Okay, so is equal and temperature equal. Okay, so in this case, even though so in this case you can see that when we use the modification on another variables, it will not affect the other variables, even though we set the values of those two variables, original and temperature, to be the same. But when we use the addition operation on the original variable, the addition will only affect the variable original only. It will not affect the variable original. Therefore, only the value original raised up by 1, whereas the value of temperature actually stay the same. Okay, so that's the idea. So you have to specify which variable you want to modify in order to modify each of that variable individually. Okay. Alright, so that's that idea of this part. So we're gonna deal with now we're gonna talk about the data type. in Python, or we're gonna call it Python built-in classes. So so we're gonna talk about built-in classes in Python. So we have a couple of classes here: Boolean for logic, variables, int for integers, float for decimals, list is just a list, okay? A tuple is like similar to list. Uh, it is a list that is immutable, which means you cannot change a tuple. Whereas a list is a changeable tuple. So a tuple is like a mathematical vectors. You know, the idea is like a mathematical vectors, and you can do operation with it, but you cannot change the vectors. Well, a list is like an array in C++. Like you can have modification with it. At least that's from my point of view. So the list is mutable when the tuple is immutable. Okay. The string, the set, the frozen set, and the dict, and I think we're gonna work on these data types together in exercises. Okay. All right. So the first data type that we're gonna do is the Boolean data type, and we call it the Boolean class. It's a bool class. So let's try out this exercise. Okay. So Boolean class is just essentially true or false value. So it's just essentially return for you true or false. True or false. So in computer signal, we assign true to have the value of 1 and false to have the value of 0. But in this case, Python will not I'm not gonna talk about this now, but you can see there. So for the Boolean class, let's look at the example here. So we set the variable a to be equal to the value of the comparison 1 equal to 1, and let's print out a. So we're gonna go under the temperature line, and let's see. So 1 equal to 1, they're gonna return for us true because 1 is equal to 1, and similarly when we set b to be variable b to be the result of the comparison 1 comparison with 2, which is false because 1 is different from 2. So b gonna return for us the value of false. Okay, so please take a note of this important part is that the first equal sign is an assignment notation, which means you give a that value, whereas the double equal sign later is the comparison operator, which means you compare two objects on the two sides of that operator. So those two symbols are different. One equal sign is assignment operator, when two equal sign, double equal sign is comparison operator. So please take a note of this. This symbol. So Boolean data type only have true and false return. The result only return true or false. Because 1 is equal to 1, so it's actually we assign the variable a with true, and we are going to assign variable b with false. So you can just print something as easy as print 1 comparison with 1 is equal to 1. So then you can see they give us a true. You don't have to put it into a variable, but I want to show you how to put these operators into variables. So I did as of the previous shown, and you can compare 1 is different from 1. So should return false. It should return true. this should return false. And also you can compare some variable like one is bigger than one, which is 4, but one is bigger than 0, smaller than 2. So this is actually true. Okay, so let's check. So yeah, so one bigger than 1 is false, whereas 1 smaller than 2 is actually true. So that's the data type. So that's for the Boolean classes. Okay. Next we have the integer classes. So it's just integer. So we in Python we are called in classes. So here we have two integer, 12 and minus 12. So let's print it out. So here you can see that. Okay, so I gonna make some note here, so it's more like easily. So print 1. Okay, so print 1. This is going to be called variables value. Okay, and this is part 2, is modifying variables value. So let's actually change things up a little bit so it's a little more clear and readable. So it's be 2, assigning variables, changing variables value, and this go 3, the Boolean class. Let's go print, and we're gonna print out the section. Okay, so 1.2.3 Python Boolean class. And then we're gonna print out the Boolean class. So 1. So it's gonna be a little bit separated and easy. Yeah, you can see variables value, changing variables value, and the Boolean class. So here you can begin print now. Number 2, in class. So a little bit of separation so you can see things more easily. So there you go. Number 2 is the Boolean class. Okay, so there you go. That's the integer class. So the integer class is just mean the variable has the data type in, it's integer, so it could be negative, it could be positive, it could be 0. Okay, so integer class. And the third type data type in Python is the float class, which is the decimal number. So float class is used to designate decimal number. So I'm gonna print section 3 float class. So float is just any like floating point number. It's just decimal. Okay, so for example, we have number e here. It's a decimal. It's 2.71828, and we can print out the value of e, and we also can print out the type of e. So here float class and the type of e is float. Okay. So float class is just essentially any decimal number. So for example, we don't have to use a special number like e. It's just a num2. It's just 5.6, and we can print out that number, print num2, and we can also print out the type of num2 as well. So type of num2. So let's run. So 5.6 type is float. So it's just any decimal number. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. The next data type we're gonna use is gonna be quite hard. It's gonna be a list class. Okay. So let's do a list class. So it's a sequence data type. The list, the tuple, and the string classes, and these things are going to be a little bit different. So let's discuss these data types. So that's the end of the numerical data type. So now we're going to come on with the sequence type. So in the sequence data type, we have a couple of sub data type, not sub data type, but like there was a couple of data types is being classified as a sequence data type, which is the list, the tuple, and the string classes. So let's examine these data types. So list, tuple, and string classes are sequences in Python representing a collection of values in which the order is significant. Okay, the list class is the most general. Okay, the tuple class is an immutable version of a list class, and the string class is representing an immutable sequence of text character. Okay, so let's do some exercise to better understand this data type. So first of all, we're gonna deal with the list class. So the syntax of the list class is very simple. So you give the list a name. First of all, you give the list a name. In this case, list 1 here, and so I'm gonna do it something like this. So for example, you can just give it a name. I can call this thing list 2. So you just give a list a name, and then you put the equal sign, and you're gonna use the square bracket, the open and close square bracket, and you can put in whatever value you want to put in. For example, dog, cat. So this value inside the list could be string, or it could be number like 1, it could be decimal, and it could be Boolean value like true or false. So I can use false as an operator, like 1 is equal to 0. So that's the example of a list there. But we're gonna use the list 1 that I have written up here as the example for us to do the exercises. So you don't have to follow it, but you just just get a list of integers and some negative integers, some float, some string, some Boolean data type. So you can understand that a list can contain many data type element inside it, not just not just any specific form of data type like string or integer alone. Okay, so now we're gonna come to a problem is that list indexing. So in Python, list indexing gonna be starting from 0. Okay, list indexing gonna start from 0. So actually the first element of the list gonna be indexing number 0. So the first element of the list gonna be indexing number 0, and then the second element gonna have the index of 1, and then the third element gonna have the index of 2. Okay, so let's try it out. So we come back to a Replit, and I'm gonna comment this one everything out. So so we can do these list exercises. All right. So we have the list 1 here. So of course with the list 1 here, you can print out list 1. You can print out you can print out the list itself. So print out list 1. So we're gonna give you exactly the list that you have created here. So so list 1 is actually 1, 2, 3, 0, 66, etc. And now the first index of the list starts from 0. So let's try out to print out the first element of the list. So we're gonna say list 1 as the name of the list, and open and close square bracket, and we gonna put in the index that we want here. So let's run, and you can see it returns us the first element, which is number 0. Okay, so let's choose another one. So let's example, I want to print list 1 number 8. Number 8 is 1 equal to 1. So this should return for me 2. So it is return for me 2. Okay. And I want to, for example, you can also iterate. You can also search a list from the bottom up, from the tail to the head. So to print out the last element of the list, you can say print list 1 index -1. Index -1. So there you can see the RAM amount, the 10th element or the last element is being returned. So it's -1. Okay. All right. Here. Okay, so now there's a special problem about the list, is that a list is iterable throughout. So with the list we are having here, I can loop through the list. Okay, so you can see here we can print out each of the element in the list, and we can print out the list itself. But how about I want to print out what I'm gonna print out? I want to print out each element of the list in an individual line. Okay, I want to print out each element of the list in an individual line. So I want to print a line to separate, a dash line to separate. Now I want to print out each element of the list in an individual line. Start 1 in one line, 2 in one line, 3 in one line, then 0 another line, 66 on the 5th line. So to do that, we can actually iterate through the list. So it's gonna go like this. So list iteration. So we use for I in range in list 1, and just say print I. Print I. So I is okay, but I just say X here for, you know, X is for objects. Okay, so you can see here the first element is 1, then 2, then 3, then 0, and 66. So we have iterate through a list, so and print out all these elements one by one. Okay, so a list is iterable. Yeah, so we have iterate through a list. Okay. Next, we're going to come to a very important data type in Python that is very, very similar to a list, but it's different from a list. Okay, it's very similar, but it's different. So let's learn the last characteristic of the list. So in a list, actually what you can do is that you can mutate or change any specific element inside a list. So the next part is list mutation. So so we have the list 1 here, right? List 1 equal to 1, 2, 3, 0, 66, etc. So now, if you want, you can see now the 0 element. So we know that list 1, number 0. List 1, the first number of the list, the 0 element is now equal to 1, right? But now, if I want to change, I can change this first element or any element inside the list to anything I want. For example, I want to change number 1, the first element of this into, you know, like a Dragon Ball. Dragon, I just say dragon for simplicity, and then I can print out this one, and then it's gonna change according to my assignment. So there you can see now the list 1 start with dragon, not with number 1 anymore, right? So you can see that the list is mutable, right? So you know the list is mutable. List is mutable. Okay, but in Python there's a data type that is very similar, very similar to the list, but it's not mutable at all, which means you cannot change the element inside that thing. You cannot change the elements inside that thing, and that's called a tuple. It's called a tuple. So here we have the tuple class. We have the tuple class here. So the tuple class, so this integer as a float class. So it's actually a list, so it's actually number 4 list class. So just a comment, but number 4 is a list class. Sorry, I gonna change up things a little bit. List class, so we have comments, so no worry, right? List class, okay. And number 5 is the tuple class. Okay, good. So here you can see here now we have a tuple. Tuple 1 is actually exactly the same as this one. So you can see here tuple 1. Okay, so let's comment out this line first. So you can see here tuple 1 is exactly the same as list 1. The only difference is that list 1 use is denoted by two square brackets. You can see here two square brackets. Whereas in tuple 1 is denoted by two round brackets. So actually a tuple is actually a mathematical vectors. Okay, so this is actually it's like a vector, whereas the list is like a matrix. But I am not gonna go into that. So a tuple is, so we just note out that list is using the square bracket, whereas tuple gonna use the round bracket. Okay, so slash, yeah, okay, something like that. Tuple gonna use the round bracket, and I think it's similar with class. We can bring out the element of the tuple. We will call out the element of the tuple. So the number one element of the tuple 1 is actually here 2, and the last element is gonna return Doraemon, right? It's gonna return Doraemon. The last element, tuple 1 number -1, we're gonna return Doraemon here. Okay, Doraemon here. Okay, so but there's a difference between the tuple and in a list is that a list is mutable, whereas the tuple is immutable. So for example, here I'm gonna use a remove function, but in this exercises I'm gonna do the same as above. Here is that I'm gonna try to assign tuple 1 index number 0 to be dragged on as well, and I'm gonna try to print out tuple 1 now. So I'm gonna try to print out tuple 1 now, and I wanna see what's happened. So you can see tuple object does not support item assignment, which not mean you cannot change an tuple. You cannot change an element inside a tuple. Okay, so you cannot assign it that way. Okay, so so that's gonna return for us an error. So the difference between the classes and a tuple is that a list is mutable, whereas a tuple is immutable. Okay? So a list versus a tuple. A list is mutable, whereas a tuple is actually immutable. Okay? Because you have seen here, we cannot we cannot change the elements inside a tuple. Okay? So it's very similar to the format is very similar to a list, but the characteristic is different. You cannot change a tuple. Okay. So maybe I gonna print this out so that we can know. So print. So you can remember. Okay, so there you go. As a tuple is immutable. Okay. So in this case, I use the remove function, but it's all the same. Okay. So the next that I want to talk about is the string classes. So a string class is just it's just line of text. So so number 6 is just the string classes. So string class is just hello world. So you print out a string, right? So print hello world, or you can print out just one line like this, or if you can use the triple quotation mark, you can print many lines. Okay, so single quotation mark, one line, triple quotation mark, many lines. Okay, so that's the string class is a 6 data type. And you can see it print out on the screen as such. So there you can copy it down. So the string data type gonna be used a lot in Python. So because you will have to write prompts and you know like you know like whatever what string do like text is in Python, right? So we have the variable here string 1 and we assign it to hello world. So the indexing of the string gonna be very similar to the indexing of the list. So start from the first character, you know, like it's the first thing after the bracket. After the brackets gonna be index number 0, and then the next one gonna be indexing number 1. So let's try H and E, and we can even print out the last element. So print out string 1, indexing number -1. So I think it's gonna give us the exclamation mark and unmatch. So actually we cannot do the -1 here. So we cannot do the -1 with string. No. I think we can do it. Yeah, there you go. It returns for us the exclamation mark. I just have a redundant bracket. So there you can see the indexing of the string data type is very similar to the indexing of the class data type. Okay. So string is just object of letters and words to convey text. That's all. And next we have data type, the 7th data type, which is the set and the frozen set. So let's check it out. So the set and the frozen set. So let's comment this out. So print now number 7, set and frozen set. Okay. Set and frozen set. So 6, 7, set and frozen set. Okay. So I think I'm gonna. It's a little bit messy. So I think I'm gonna print out some of the prompt here. So make it a little bit nice. So print. I just gonna print out for list class. So this is not gonna change the code at all. So don't worry about that. And here I'm gonna print out 5. Print 5 tuple, the tuple class, so we can easily see. Okay, there you go for the list class. So is there anything I haven't commented? Yeah, I think it's very good. So for the list class, and then you can delete this thing up here. Okay, so list, so I'm going to print the line here, the dashing. So we're going to separate tuple, and I'm going to print the similar thing with the string class to separate the string class. So just you know, like a presentation. Class. Okay. And then also print the dash line. Okay. There you go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Easily seen. Okay, so now set and frozen set. Okay. So so let's see what is a set and what is a frozen set. So a set is like, it's like the set in set theory, you know, it's just like a set in set theory. So set one is just blue, red, and green. So we have element, and we're gonna print out the type of set one. So you can see here, the type of set one is actually class sets. Okay. So the first is that the set does not maintain the elements in any particular order. So so whether it's blue, red, or green, and red, green, and blue, it's just all the same. And the bracket here is different from a list. Okay, from a list. The set, the bracket here is actually the curly bracket. So let's make a test. Set 2 gonna be equal to just red. So it's the permutation of the red one, of set 1. So let's check if it is any different. Blue and green. So we're gonna change red and blue around. So let's print out, compare set 1 with set 2. So let's see if we can make such a comparison. So let's comment out this thing first. I'm not talking about this thing as of right now. So yeah. So let's compare set 2 and set 1. So it's actually returned for us a true. So set 1 is actually equal to set 2. So it is very true that the set is like a list, but it does not maintain the element in any particular order. It's just the set, yeah, the collection of elements. Okay, it's just a collection of elements. So the set does not maintain element in any particular order. The second is that only instance of immutable type can be added to Python set. So integer, floating points, and character string are eligible. Okay, because whether it's integer or floating point or character string, they are all mutable. Okay, they are all mutable. So so they are eligible as element of a set. So for example, I can have set 3. Be equal to just 1 blue and 1.2, 1.5. Okay, let's say print set 3. So it is possible. So it's possible. Okay. A frozen set is a Python built-in function that takes an iterable object, a tuple, a set, a tuple, lead, set, or dict as an input and return immutable frozen set. For a dictionary, only the key parts are immutable. Okay. Okay. So frozen set is a Python built-in function that takes iterable object like tuple, list, or set, or dict as an input and then return the immutable or unfrozen set. Okay, so in this case we have a list here, list 3 is actually a immutable object. So let's try. So we can see here list 3 originally are just number from 0 to 9, and then we can append 10 in. So now list 3 is actually all the element from 0 to 10. You can see here. So to make clear the mutation, I can print list 3 here one more time. There you go. It's mutable here. The first edition doesn't have 10. The next edition have 10s. Okay. So now, we're gonna set the frozen set 3 to be fs3 to be the frozen set function, and we're gonna input list 3 inside here. So fs3 is now the frozen set function of list 3. Okay. So I wanna try to print out fs3. Let's see, it's printable. Okay, it's printable, and we set frozen set from 0 to 10. So it denotes frozen set. So in this frozen set data type, it's gonna indicate that is a frozen set. Okay, and now as we say here, frozen set return an immutable EA frozen set. Only key parts are mutable set. Okay, so frozen set are essentially immutable. So for example, I want to try to change the first element of the frozen set 3 to be -1. So the first element here should turn to -1. This thing is mutable. So we're gonna print now frozen set 3. So you can see here, it's not mutable. So that's why when we try to change its first element, it's not changeable. So a frozen set is immutable. Okay, so a frozen set is immutable. Okay. Okay, so we have the last class, the dictionary class. So so you can see here, as of the arrow here, a frozen set is inherently immutable, so we cannot do any mutation or changing to a frozen set. So okay, so it's just an example of why the frozen set is immutable. Okay, so for the last exercise inside this section, we're gonna talk about dictionary. So as of the first lesson, we have learned about a dictionary. In the exercise of building a GPA calculator, but now we can examine the real dictionary class. So that's data type number 8, which is dictionary class. So we're gonna print the dash line to separate these two, number 7 and number 8, and we can print now number 8 class, which is print the number 8. You don't have to do this, you don't want to. The dict class. So this is a dictionary class, okay? Not the dict class, you know, not the slang. You have known from the dictionary from the lesson 1, right? Like we know that a dictionary is composed of a key and a value, right? So the key first and then value. So the syntax for the dictionary is just the name of the dictionary and then the key and then the value, okay? So here I have a fun exercise. You know the 7 deadly sins? So each of the character in 7 deadly sins here are all represented by the key. So Meliodas, Merlin, King, Diane, Ban, and Gauter, and Escanor, okay? And each of the scenes in the story are symbolized by an animal, right? An animal. So Meliodas is a dragon, Merlin is a boar, King is a bear, Diane is a snake, Ban is a fox, Gauter is a goat, and Escanor is a lion. So in the dictionary, we're gonna set out the name of the dictionary. So I here another example here, dict2, and we're gonna separate it. We're gonna assign it to a value, so equal, so curly bracket. Now, first part is the key. For example, what is the key now? So for example, I'm gonna mapping the name of the student to the GPA. For example, here is Harry. Has the GPA of you know, Harry Potter is quite good, so 3.6. Then comma, then Ron Weasley, so Ron. Well, Ron didn't study that much, right? So 3.8 is good enough for Ron. And then the study at Hermione. Well, she study all the time, so I can assign her the GPA of 0.4 or 4.0. So this is I'm going to talk about this later. It's kind of hard. So we have a simple, more simple dictionary there. So dictionary here, we have the key here, which is Harry, Ron, and Hermione. So each of the key here is Harry, and then it has the corresponding value of 3.6, right? 3.6. And then we have the key here key is Ron. Key is Ron. And then the value of 2.8. So and then key is Hermione, and then it has value of 4.0. Okay, so now let's see what we can do with the dictionary. So with the dictionary we can, okay, so this one's for later. So with the dictionary we can code out the value according to the key. So in this case we're not going to dict2 and we're gonna code out Harry. So this is gonna should get us 3.6, right? So let's comment the second one now first. So with the dictionary, when you have the key and you want to find the value, you want to say print the name of the dictionary and you put the key into the square bracket, and you're gonna print it out. Okay, so you can see 3.6 for Harry. Okay, so and then we have the syntax to reverse, you know, like when we actually have the value and want to trace back what is the key, and then we have the syntax to do that, which is in the line under here. So print list tick one dot key. I gonna write it out so you can understand in this case. So in this case, this should be print, then list. So this is a syntax to trace down the key when you know the value, right? So in here, our dictionary is dict2. Okay, so dot keys. Okay, and then outside all these bracket, outside of these two brackets, we're gonna say square bracket list to list. Okay, a little bit I want to recommend list, and then we're gonna find dict2 dot values. So this one is a little bit complicated, and open and close bracket, and then outside the second bracket dot index of what you want to write. We want to find out the the index, which is the key for value 3.6. So you want it to return Harry, right? So 3.6. So we got 3.6 is not a string, so we're gonna just put 3.6 like that. We hope we're gonna return Harry. As you can see, the syntax return Harry. So it's list dict2 dot key, open and close a circle bracket, and then open square bracket list dict2 dot value, and then the index, and then you put the value into the index function. Okay, so that's the simple exercises. So with that in mind, we can now do the exercise number 1, which is dict1 here. So dictionary 1 gonna be the 7 deadly sin name, which is Meliodas, Merlin, King, Diane, Pan, Galter, and Escanor, with their respective animals. So dragon for Meliodas, boar for Merlin, bear for King, snake for Diane, fox for Ben, Galter is the goat, and Escanor is a lion. So for the first line, we can print dict1 Meliodas, which is gonna return for us the value that we assign for the key Meliodas, which is, well, the key is Meliodas here, so the value is dragon, right? Dragon, right? And for here, to find the value, here's the function to find the value for fox, and we hope that it's gonna return ban, because ban is fox. So there you can see for Meliodas we get dragon, and for ban for fox we get ban. So I think that's enough for this tutorial. It's quite long already. So thank you very much for listening. If you have any further requests on what we should do, what kind of exercise you want to review, please comment section down below. I'm gonna put the code in a file in the description link, so you can find and retype everything. So thank you very much. Have a good day. Goodbye.